The Weight of Stardom. How CHANG learned patience, purpose, and growth. Stardom often arrives wrapped in applause, admiration, and opportunity, but it also carries weight. Expectations rise, identities blur, and the pressure to remain visible can become overwhelming. For CHANG, one of South Korea's most recognizable actors, fame was never simply a reward. It was a responsibility that demanded endurance, reflection, and inner growth. His journey reveals how patience, purpose, and personal evolution became the anchors that allowed him not only to survive stardom, but to mature within it. Early years, building strength before recognition. CHANG path to fame was not paved by instant recognition. He began his career in theater, where discipline, repetition, and humility were essential. Stage acting demanded emotional presence without shortcuts, teaching him endurance and respect for craft long before cameras amplified his image. These early years grounded him. Without immediate spotlight, he learned to value process over outcome, a mindset that would later protect him when fame arrived abruptly. Breakthrough and the sudden weight of attention. CHANG breakout role in Smile Again introduced him to a wider audience, but it was Healer that transformed him into a household name. The drama showcased his versatility, action, romance, and emotional depth, all within a single role. With success came heightened expectations. Suddenly, every project carried the burden of comparison. The industry and audience alike wanted repetition of the same success, but at a larger scale. This is where the weight of stardom became real. Popularity demanded speed, visibility, and constant performance, not only on screen, but in public life. Learning patience in a culture of immediacy. Rather than rushing to capitalize endlessly on his popularity, CHANG made a choice that surprised many. He slowed down. He accepted that growth required patience, even if it meant stepping away from momentum. His decision to enlist for mandatory military service during a peak period exemplified this patience. Instead of delaying or rushing projects, he allowed the pause to happen naturally. This break gave him space, away from cameras, scripts, and public judgment, to reconnect with himself beyond the actor's identity, returning with purpose, not pressure. CHANG post-military return was not driven by the need to reclaim status. Instead, he approached his projects with renewed clarity. Roles such as those in Melting Me Softly and later works reflected an actor exploring different emotional tones rather than chasing validation. Not every project was universally praised, but each served a purpose in his personal and artistic development. He accepted that growth is not linear. Purpose replaced pressure, redefining masculinity through vulnerability. Early in his career, CHANG was often cast as the strong, capable hero, physically agile, emotionally steadfast. Over time, he began to challenge this image. He took on characters who were uncertain, emotionally exposed, and flawed. This shift required courage. Vulnerability on screen can invite criticism, but it also deepens connection. By allowing his characters to struggle, he allowed himself to grow. Masculinity became less about invincibility and more about resilience. Managing public expectations without losing self. Stardom brings with it a public version of self that can overshadow reality. CHANG learned to draw boundaries, to separate the actor from the person. He maintains a relatively private personal life, limiting how much of himself is consumed by public narrative. This restraint protects emotional health and keeps identity intact. Patience, in this context, means resisting the urge to explain, perform, or constantly prove worth. Growth through criticism and uncertainty. Not every phase of CHANG career was met with acclaim. Some projects underperformed, and criticism followed. Instead of retreating or reacting defensively, he treated these moments as lessons. Growth came through reflection rather than reaction. This willingness to face uncertainty without panic strengthened his emotional maturity, an essential skill for longevity. Expanding horizons without losing focus. CHANG gradually expanded into diverse genres and international projects. Yet he approached expansion thoughtfully, avoiding overreach. He did not attempt to reinvent himself overnight. Instead, He allowed experiences to accumulate naturally, broadening perspective without fragmenting identity. Purpose-guided expansion, ensuring coherence in his career narrative. The quiet discipline behind the spotlight. Behind Ji Chang-wook's performances is quiet discipline, physical training, emotional preparation, and continuous learning. Fame did not excuse him from fundamentals. It demanded more of them. Discipline allowed him to carry the weight of stardom without being crushed by it. Emotional growth reflected on screen. As Ji Chang-wook matured, his performances gained subtlety. His acting relies less on intensity and more on emotional layering, silences, restraint, and internal conflict. This evolution mirrors his personal journey. Growth became visible not through louder performances, but through deeper ones. Stardom as responsibility, not reward. Ji Chang-wook's perspective on fame evolved. Stardom became less about privilege and more about responsibility, to the audience, to collaborators, and to himself. This shift grounded his decisions. Projects were chosen not only for visibility, but for alignment with values and long-term growth. Conclusion: carrying the weight with grace. Ji Chang-wook's journey illustrates that stardom is not light. It demands patience to endure, purpose to guide, and growth to sustain. By embracing pauses, accepting uncertainty, and prioritizing inner development over external validation, he learned how to carry the weight of fame without losing himself. His story reminds us that true success is not measured by constant ascent, but by the ability to evolve, quietly, steadily, and with integrity, under pressure.